Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are discussing a pivotal moment in the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, a moment many are calling a historic blow dealt by Kyiv's forces against Russian occupation. This operation marks a new chapter in the war, showing that Ukrainian forces are increasingly capable of conducting deep, strategic strikes that affect Russian military operations far behind the front lines. For more than a decade, tensions between Ukraine and Russia have simmered, escalating dramatically in 2014 with the annexation of Crimea. That initial conflict set the stage for years of unrest, followed by the massive invasion in February 2022. Ukraine faced enormous pressure as Russian forces sought to occupy territory and establish control, beginning with a rapid push toward Kyiv and then spreading across eastern regions. Despite this, Ukrainian forces demonstrated resilience, slowing and repelling Russian advances in several key locations. The attack that we are focusing on involves a major fuel pipeline that supplies Russian forces. By striking this logistical artery, Ukrainian forces have not only disrupted fuel distribution, but have also sent a powerful message that Russia is vulnerable even in areas it considers secure. Fuel is essential for vehicles, aircraft, generators, and other critical military operations. Interrupting that supply can have immediate operational consequences, slowing advances, limiting mobility, and affecting the ability to launch coordinated attacks. This strike represents more than a tactical victory. It is a strategic demonstration of Ukraine's growing ability to target high-value infrastructure within Russian-controlled territory. Reports indicate that the pipeline supplies millions of tons of fuel annually and serves multiple military purposes. Ukrainian forces likely used a combination of precision strikes, intelligence, and possibly special operations teams or drones to execute the attack. The exact details remain classified, but the effectiveness of the operation is clear. Historically, wars are often decided by logistics as much as by battlefield victories. In World War II, for example, stretched supply lines and shortages of fuel contributed significantly to the failure of major campaigns. The same principle applies here. By targeting supply routes and infrastructure, Ukraine increases the operational cost for Russian forces and creates uncertainty in their planning. The morale implications of this strike are also profound. For Ukrainians, it is a message of strength and capability. They are not merely defending territory, they are actively striking at the enemy's vulnerabilities. For Russian forces and leadership, it is a reminder that even areas thought to be secure are now within reach of Ukrainian operations. Psychological impact is a key component of modern warfare, and this strike reinforces Ukraine's position both domestically and internationally. Strategically, the operation shows a shift toward deeper, more precise offensive actions. Rather than focusing solely on frontline engagements, Ukrainian forces are demonstrating the ability to reach behind enemy lines and disrupt essential infrastructure. This represents a significant evolution in tactics, reflecting adaptability and a sophisticated understanding of modern warfare. It may also influence future decisions on resource allocation, operational planning, and defensive strategies for both sides. The international ramifications are equally important. Western allies watching Ukraine's operations can view this success as evidence that their support is yielding tangible results. Intelligence sharing, advanced weaponry, and training are enabling Ukraine to conduct high-impact operations. This could reinforce ongoing aid and diplomatic support, while signaling to adversaries that Ukraine is not passive in the face of aggression. However, it is crucial to temper this analysis with caution. While the pipeline strike is significant, it is one event in a broader conflict. Russia still maintains substantial forces, control over occupied areas, and the ability to adapt its logistics and operational strategy. The long-term effects will depend on Ukraine's ability to continue conducting targeted operations and on Russia's response, which may include reinforcing security, relocating resources, or launching retaliatory strikes. In addition, this strike illustrates a shift toward asymmetric and multidimensional warfare. Modern conflicts increasingly rely on precision, intelligence, and strategic targeting, rather than solely on mass troop movements. Ukrainian forces are leveraging these methods effectively, demonstrating that even a smaller military can have a disproportionate impact by exploiting vulnerabilities in infrastructure and supply chains. The potential risks and consequences of this operation also warrant attention. Strikes within or near Russian territory could provoke escalated responses, including missile attacks, increased drone activity, or cyber operations targeting Ukrainian infrastructure. Both sides face the challenge of balancing tactical gains with the risk of broader escalation, civilian impact, and international political repercussions. From a humanitarian perspective, it is important to remember that behind strategic and tactical successes are human lives affected by the conflict. Civilians in contested or occupied areas endure disruption, displacement, and danger. Ukrainian victories provide hope and security for some, but the broader population continues to face significant challenges. Military successes and strategic operations are deeply intertwined with the human cost of war. This strike also has potential economic and logistical implications beyond the immediate battlefield. Disruption of fuel supplies can affect military operations, transportation networks, and energy availability, creating ripple effects that influence civilian and military planning alike. Russia may need to reroute supply chains, protect additional infrastructure, or accelerate domestic production to compensate, all of which incur costs and strain resources. Analyzing the long-term strategic impact, this operation could mark a turning point in the nature of the conflict. Continued successful strikes on logistics and infrastructure may gradually degrade the operational capability of occupying forces. Over time, repeated disruptions can reduce momentum, force defensive postures, and limit the ability to project power. For Ukraine, the key will be sustaining this capacity while managing the inherent risks of escalation. International diplomacy is also influenced by these developments. Demonstrated operational effectiveness strengthens Ukraine's negotiating position and provides evidence to allies that support contributes to tangible results. Conversely, Russia may face increased diplomatic pressure as vulnerabilities are exposed and as operational challenges are made more visible to the international community. The evolution of tactics seen in this operation aligns with broader trends in modern warfare. Conflicts increasingly involve cyber, drone, and long-range precision strikes, targeting not only troops but also logistics, command centers, and infrastructure. Ukraine's ability to strike deep behind Russian lines exemplifies this shift, emphasizing mobility, intelligence, and selective disruption rather than purely conventional engagements. Another consideration is the psychological effect on military personnel. Disruptions to supply and infrastructure can create uncertainty, reduce confidence, and force changes in planning. For Russian troops, the knowledge that supply lines are vulnerable could affect morale and operational readiness. For Ukrainian forces, success reinforces confidence and the perception that strategic objectives are achievable. It is also important to evaluate how Russia may respond strategically. Securing pipelines, relocating fuel supplies, and protecting key infrastructure will likely become a priority. These measures may slow offensive operations, require additional resources, and alter deployment decisions. The allocation of forces to defensive and protective roles is a classic consequence of successful deep strikes. Looking ahead, analysts will monitor whether Ukraine continues to exploit similar vulnerabilities. Repeated operations targeting logistics, fuel, and other high-value assets could significantly shape the operational landscape. Conversely, Russia's adaptive measures may reduce vulnerability, making each subsequent operation more complex and risky. This dynamic illustrates the ongoing interplay between capability, adaptation, and strategic initiative. From a domestic perspective in Ukraine, these successes contribute to national unity, public confidence, and support for the military effort. They also create expectations for continued action and territorial gains. Managing these expectations is critical for leadership, ensuring that strategic planning remains coherent even as public morale rises. For Russia, domestic perception is influenced by the visibility of vulnerabilities. Exposure of critical infrastructure to attack can affect public confidence, political stability, and support for the government's military strategy. These internal pressures are a significant factor in long-term conflict dynamics. Humanitarian implications remain central to the story. While the strike targeted a military asset, broader infrastructure impacts can affect civilians indirectly. Fuel shortages, energy disruption, and logistical challenges can create difficulties for local populations, highlighting the complexity of modern conflicts where military and civilian systems are intertwined. This operation also highlights the importance of intelligence, coordination, and technological capability. Successful deep strikes require precise information, careful planning, and the ability to execute without immediate retaliation. Ukraine's growing proficiency in these areas demonstrates a sophisticated approach to modern warfare. In strategic terms, the operation underscores the critical role of logistics in determining military outcomes. A well-supplied force can sustain operations, project power, and maintain momentum. Disruption of supply chains affects both immediate operational capacity and long-term planning. By demonstrating the ability to affect these networks, Ukraine is asserting influence over the course of the conflict. The attack's symbolic significance cannot be overstated. Beyond operational effects, it conveys a message to domestic and international audiences that Ukraine is capable, resilient, and able to conduct complex operations. It also challenges narratives of Russian dominance and highlights vulnerabilities that can be exploited by well-planned, precise actions. In evaluating the broader implications, it is clear that no single strike determines the outcome of the war. However, operations that target critical infrastructure, demonstrate capability, and influence morale and perception are highly consequential. They affect planning, resource allocation, strategic calculations, and international perceptions of strength. Sustaining momentum will be a key factor for Ukraine. Repeated successes in disrupting logistics and supply lines can cumulatively degrade Russian operational capability, even if territorial gains are incremental. This underscores the evolving nature of the conflict, where mobility, intelligence, and selective action increasingly shape outcomes. The risks of escalation remain significant. Retaliation by Russia could involve strikes on Ukrainian infrastructure, expanded military campaigns, or increased use of long-range missiles and drones. Managing these risks while maintaining operational effectiveness is a central challenge for Ukrainian leadership. Another factor is the technological dimension. Drones, precision munitions, cyber tools, and intelligence capabilities are all force multipliers in modern conflicts. Ukraine's ability to leverage these technologies effectively is demonstrated by this strike, and suggests that future operations may similarly combine intelligence, precision, and mobility to achieve strategic objectives. In conclusion, the strike on the fuel pipeline represents a multifaceted achievement. It is operationally significant, strategically relevant, psychologically impactful, and diplomatically meaningful. It demonstrates Ukraine's capacity for sophisticated, deep strikes that challenge Russian operational planning and expose vulnerabilities in areas considered secure. The long-term consequences will depend on repeated operational success, Russia's adaptive measures, continued support from allies, and the balance between tactical achievement and escalation risk. The conflict remains dynamic, and this operation highlights the evolving nature of warfare, where logistics, precision, and intelligence play a decisive role. Human, economic, and political dimensions intersect with military operations, making the effects of this strike broader than immediate tactical results. It is a reminder that modern conflict is not only fought at the front lines, but also in the strategic spaces where supply, morale, perception, and decision-making converge. The significance of this historic blow lies not only in its immediate impact, but in what it represents: the capability of Ukraine to strike decisively, the vulnerability of occupying forces, and the ongoing evolution of the conflict in ways that may shape its trajectory for months or years to come. Ukraine's ability to conduct operations deep within Russian-controlled areas demonstrates an adaptive and evolving military, one that leverages intelligence, precision strikes, and strategic targeting to influence the course of the war. This operation provides a case study in modern warfare where logistics, infrastructure, and psychological impact are as decisive as conventional combat. As we continue to watch developments in this conflict, the lessons from this strike will resonate. The interplay between operational capability, strategic targeting, morale, and international support illustrates the complexity and multidimensional nature of contemporary warfare. In the end, this historic blow is a reminder that conflict is shaped not only by battles, but by the ability to disrupt, adapt, and target critical vulnerabilities. Ukraine's success reflects both strategic planning and operational execution, reinforcing its position and demonstrating the evolving nature of modern warfare. Thank you for watching and staying informed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps keep the conversation going and ensures we continue to analyze these developments in depth. Stay safe, stay informed, and until next time, take care.